deny. Bad news stress turns off happy chemicals in our brain and our body. Dopamine. So my friend Gary, whose brother Oscar has his son in prison for killing his second wife, now he has severe Parkinson's because his dopamine is just through the floor. So he's taking the drug to boost dopamine, but I was the first person that's, when I heard that's how I found out about the son in prison. So my friend never told me about his nephew being in prison. So for the last 10 years that I've known him. Okay, it happened over 10 years ago. We were talking about other things. So 2008, I said everything I'm trying to say to all of you to the Texas State Senate, and I mentioned the Forgotten Children Report, which, Bruce Perry, you must know all about the Forgotten Children Report. So 2004, the Forgotten Children Report came out about kids in foster care getting over-medicated with these same horrific combinations of drugs. I mean, even worse than the ones in here. And while they're getting shuffled around, I just heard Bruce Perry saying to Kay Warren that some of those foster parents are getting like 12 kids. Okay, that sounds like profiteering, quite frankly. So, wait, what was I getting at? Okay, I'm getting off track. Anyway, Forgotten Children Report. So, Forgotten Children Report went to the White House because the author's son was running Medicare and Medicaid, Dr. Mark McClellan, and he slammed the door on her. Okay, I contacted the father, Bar McClellan, because he wrote this book, saying that he was one of Lyndon Johnson's attorney, and the other attorney said Lyndon Johnson was involved in the murder of JFK. Okay, so it's all connected. So I met him. I called him. I met him. I told him about my dad. I told him about my dad's book. In 12 weeks, you can control your high blood pressure, which came out in 1984, and it has the symptoms of stress, which are the same as the symptoms for PTSD and bipolar disorder and ADHD. It's from Hans Selye's book, The Stress of Life. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The biggest secret on the planet. Okay, if you could have Americans see this chart, then you could have millions of school kids who are getting D's and F's like I was. Go talk to them and say, what happened to you? Hire counselors to do that. Anyway, I'm meandering, and I'll tell you I'll meander again. So I grew up in violence probably because my dad got worked into anger, having an anger problem with those 24-hour shifts that they put the doctors through. Okay. They work people into a state of PTSD. Let's see. I'm going to wind up soon. Okay. Okay, so I grew up in the violence. I have amnesia from my childhood. All right. And I was getting D's and F's. So my dad graduated from UCLA. He got his internship there with honors. He published his book in 1984. 1987, I got kicked out of UCLA for getting D's and F's. Nobody came to me and said, Chris, what's going on with you? What happened? How you doing? Can we guide you? All right. So they just kick kids out of school. They do it in the kids in high school. The Uvalde, Texas shooter kicked out of school after a decade of bullying. Severe mental health problems, depression. His parents asked for help. He didn't get it. Right before he's supposed to graduate, they kicked him out. Instead of, what happened to you? How you doing? Here's a counselor. Here's an effective counselor. Here's a trauma-informed counselor. Okay, then he went and got a gun, and he killed 22 people. All right? Matthew McConaughey he's from he went to the same school. He went to Washington and he did a whole press conference about how we really got to do something about that terrible problem that we're having with guns or blocking the guns. I'm not exactly sure. He didn't say one thing about bullying. So anyway, didn't say one thing about bullying. Anyway, it was an oversight. So I dropped off my proposals in that chart at his ranch. Excuse me, my power is about to go out here. I'm gonna have a freaking problem. See, this is my budget. Zero budget. I got a quarter right here in front of me. That's my net worth. Okay, guys. All right. Can't you call Oprah? Ask her out of her billions. She said she'd do backflips. Backflips to make the world trauma informed. Oh yeah, I don't need backflips. How about fucking a little tiny investment? All right, let's come together. We're gonna create a series of videos where we just talk about the truth. All right. So it's a simple concept. All right, can you hear me now? All right. Anyway, let me see. Shad Meshad, this is your opportunidad. All right, I want to bring all these people together. Chuck Norris, Vietnam War veteran, lost his brother there. So, circle back around. Why should he want to come? Well, let me tell you a little secret. Okay. In case you haven't seen anything yet. So, 2000, I met the last living chaplain who landed on Normandy Beach on D-Day. Chaplain George Russell Barber. I was introduced to him. Okay, then I did 11 hours of video with him where I shared about Dr. Figley's stuff, and I had his book and, everything, all the research I found at UCLA on the subject. Okay. We did the video in 2003. All right. I was introduced to him by Erwin Pardue, and he was in the White House under JFK. The CIA liaison to JFK. So I've got a recording right here of him. I've got a tape here. I made one of those old-fashioned kind of audio tapes. The little... I talked to Bar McClellan. I said, hey, Bar McClellan, my friend who used to work in the White House, he told me the reason why they killed JFK is because of the Bay of Pigs. They were really pissed about that. That was like #1 reason in his mind. Okay, that's as far as we got with the conversation. With that conversation. Okay, he also told me that he carried a peace agreement from Vietnam. And when he got to the White House, the general said, we can't go with this because it'll ruin the economy. Well, now it comes out recently in the public that some of Nixon's team that it was Henry Kissinger, Vernon Walters carried the peace agreement. So they must have done it with my friend Irwin in 1969, and it got rejected because that helped Nixon get elected. Okay, so that came out in the news, that part of it. So why does this matter? Well, that was like 1969. They could have ended it. Wasn't that before you were there, Shad? So should we do anything about this? Oh, how about reparations for all the veterans? How about $1 million each? How about the people in Vietnam? Maybe they should get $1 million, the survivors. Maybe they should get billions of dollars to clean up all those landmines out there. Maybe it would be curative for the Vietnam veterans to go over there on missions, $1 million in their bank account, go over there, help with getting rid of landmines, healing, visiting the people there. Hey, we're sorry, man, we were misguided on this whole thing. So, I'm brainstorming. What is the cure? Well, Dr. Figley's cure is, well, let me circle back around. Daniel Plan. So he says in here, Rick Warren, Daniel Amen, Mark Hyman. He says right in here, if you work with God's plan, you can, whatever really terrible, difficult things you're going through, you can heal and you can grow as a person and you can turn into something positive. And if you can feel your pain, then you can heal your pain. And if you can't feel your pain, then you can't heal your pain. So why is he endorsing this thing right here for his son and his congregation? And then Oscar got a bunch of drugs, an upper and a downer and a sidewayser. Okay, and he can't. Okay, and he didn't get Dr. Figley's cure. Okay, so I know I'm jumping around. Okay, but let's go back to go back in time in the DeLorean. Okay, all right, to 1989 or whatever, when he's starting to build a new church. He's got 6,000 members. Does he have burnout? Does his wife have burnout? They're going around and they're they're looking into the AIDS issue, and his wife does 10 videos on AIDS. We really got to help the AIDS people. And she interviews them, and she goes over to Africa, and she creates this video about the millions that are infected and are dying. Okay, that's traumatic. Secondary traumatic stress. Okay, and then what it says in here is that then people are getting misdiagnosed in the medical system, and then put on a bunch of drugs, and then they get worse. That's what it says in here. Dr. Figley. This came out when? 1999. So way before. See, here's what's been going on. There's this barrier between like reality and then the medical system. Okay, and it's all about distancing. So I got 150 pages of excerpts from all of you guys. 150 pages. Okay, intellectualizing is what you call it. A defense mechanism. Distancing. I think Figley talks about that somewhere. Avoidance. Denial. So my dad didn't do that. He'd look at what's going on in people's lives when he's dealing with high blood pressure, heart disease, high cholesterol, depression, addictions, everything. That's throughout his book. In his book, it's a 12-week plan to do a stress inventory and, look at and then do a process of radical stress reduction. So that's the cure. So so what do we want to do? Let's wind it up with what do we want to do and see if I have any other loose ends here. Okay, Chuck Norris. I went to school with his kids. Kindergarten through 5th grade, and then high school with Eric Norris. My brother let me know that at one time he had to pull Eric off of me. We got in a tussle or whatever. Okay, I'm sure he wasn't a chronic bully, but we all grew up watching cartoon characters beat the hell out of each other and insult each other, and probably that's what happened. So I've been inviting Chuck Norris to join my project for 10 years. I talked to Eric once on the phone, invited him, sent several emails to his brother Aaron. I got receipts, everything that I'm trying to get to you. Went by Chuck Norris's ranch 2 years ago and dropped off the same package at his ranch. So right here we see Chuck Norris on the poster, and this is a picture from Walker, Texas Ranger. It's a capture from one of his TV shows that I recorded around 2005, 6, when I put the poster together. So the episode is about, he's a sheriff in Texas, and there's some teenage delinquents who are selling drugs to other kids, and they're in a gang, and this young kid, probably 9 years old, is getting bullied and bullied to try drugs and chronically bullied, and he's getting depressed and suicidal. And so the school calls when he's up on a tall building and he's going to jump off because he's suicidal. So Walker, Texas Ranger Walker gets the call. He drives out there. He gets up on the roof. He's talking to the kid on the edge. He's saying, "All right, man." I don't remember what he said. Talking him down, trying to talk him down. Then he jumps. Walker runs over and he's looking down at the body. And I screen captured that right there. So the rest of the episode after he died is about kick drugs out of America. Chuck Norris has this organization about getting rid of drugs and getting teens involved in martial arts as a positive outlet, and to teach them that message. So he's got a nonprofit in Houston. So, well, why don't we share the cure with all those people and America? Bad news stress turns off happy chemicals in the brain. Then we turn to junk food, nicotine, alcohol, and illegal drugs to turn them back on. Simple. We have a contagious epidemic of toxic stress flowing through the human population. We need to declare it and declare a urgent matter. So, I bet with your help we can get them there. All those veterans, 22 a day, are killing themselves. You want to stop that, right? Well, they're getting a bunch of bad drugs. You know what? I want to challenge you guys to come together in a nice way. Call up Matthew Friedman and say, "Hey, Matthew, we have overlooked something, or, we'd like to bring it up. That this got to stop right now. All those veterans need to get a very well-funded alternative path." So I found a bunch of programs that are the alternative path. Troy Yoakum, he walked 1,000 miles all across America to get, he's a veteran of the Iraq War, to get funding and solutions to the veterans for mental health. Now he has a few hundred acres where he built a wilderness ranch. Okay, every single veteran needs that as an option. Whatever it costs, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. And you know what? That'll create hundreds of thousands of jobs for veterans. So all those homeless veterans, that could solve that problem overnight. Okay, but let me tell you a plan that gets even better. So I'm connecting all the dots here. Let's see. Daniel Plan, okay? Mark Hyman, Dr. Wayne Jonas, Dr. Oz, Dr. Andrew Weil, Dr. Dean Ornish all went to the Senate over 10 years ago, and they said, "Please, guys, we're spending $4 trillion on sickness care every year, and we're having 2 million deaths every year from illnesses which are reversible with healthy living." Okay, I'm paraphrasing. Okay, that's what they said for 3 hours or whatever. It's all on video. If you'll spend $1 trillion on healthy living programs, you will create jobs in every single community. And they can be staffed by veterans. It's called the boot camp cure. And it'll pump money into every single community in America, reducing stress in all of those communities. Okay, I'm mixing in my own ideas with theirs now. So if we spend $1 trillion on healthy living programs, that's what I put in a letter 10 years ago. There's this thing, the Kroc Community Centers. Check it out. There's about 10 of them around the world. Ray Kroc, after his widow died, she gave billions of dollars, and they built 10 or more of these Kroc Community Centers where they have every single kind of exercise. They have a chapel, they have a library, they have aerobics, they have ice skating, they have roller skating, they have track, they have dance, they have aerobics, they have handball, they have tennis, they have, that's half of it. Okay, and anybody can go there, and they have very low fees, and it creates massive number of jobs in the community, and everybody gets healthy in the community. And wow, that's what I've been selling for 20 years now. But anyway, it's all come together now. So Rick Warren, Daniel Amen, my partner for the last 10 years, she's known Dean Ornish for 40 years. They went to kindergarten together, 50 years. And when he was getting bullied in kindergarten, she stood up for him, and together they, shouted down those bullies or whatever. Okay? He's been promising to join our team for several years now. We're all come together. She's got a vision of global healing by sharing post-traumatic stress. She's a really good friend of John Paul DeJoria, the billionaire, for the last 30 years. He sold Patron Tequila for $5 billion a few years ago. I think he's a veteran, isn't he? He's a veteran of being homeless, that's for sure. Was he in the Army? I don't remember now. Okay. Motor mouthing. Okay, it says right in here, if you medicate, then you won't be able to heal. Yet, his son was medicated until he died. Okay, 3 years before his son died and Oscar killed his stepmother, they had an event. You can watch the video on YouTube. Dr. Rick Warren said, Dr. Amen, I'm your patient, and I have ADD, and so tell me what I should do. Doesn't it seem like everybody's having a lot of stress lately? And, what's going on? Okay, he goes right into ADD. Doesn't say ADD has the same symptoms as stress. Actually, I didn't watch the whole video yet. But the solution in this book, they're holding up the book, is drugs. So his son was already getting these drugs, and it wasn't working. Okay? Then, 3 years later, his mother, who's searching for answers, okay, they created the Daniel Plan during that time period, and they started having, a bunch of people at the church go through the Daniel Plan. I got the book right here, to get healthy and exercise and lose weight. Oh, wait, yeah, I just showed it. Okay, that's when this was written. Okay, and then the son is taking all these drugs instead of doing what's in the book, which is facing your pain and talking about it with your family members. Okay, so let's back up to 10 years prior. The parents are getting burned out because they're running a big church. They're hearing about all the suffering of their, members of their church. That's traumatizing. They're getting burned out. What does that lead to? It leads to becoming like burned out in families. And then you don't have communication, and then it leads to everybody getting depressed. Okay, and then your son is like the canary in the coal mine. Okay, and instead of saying, oh, gee, what happened, or what's on your mind? Okay, I'm sure they went into some psychologist, and then he said, oh, I feel depressed. But they don't know how to hunt down, getting, you got to treat the whole family. That's what Dr. Figley says. So the kid becomes the identified patient, drug him. He's crazy. Okay, they don't use the word crazy, but they're not saying, oh, you're having those symptoms because of reality. You're having a reaction to something in your environment that's causing your stress to go through the roof. Okay, well, but here's what really happened. Okay, because I watched the whole video of Kay told her life story. Okay, so during the pregnancy, a few years earlier, she got really, really sick for months. She could have died. Massive pain all over her body and swelling and stuff, and they couldn't treat it because it was they couldn't give her a bunch of steroids. So she suffered, and she thought, oh wow, maybe the stress affected my baby, because when my baby was born, he was hyperactive or something like that. Okay, their son. So that's actually makes sense. It can remodel, and then he was super sensitive as a little kid, super empathetic, he would feel sad for the flowers that got stomped on. Okay, something like that. No, not exactly. Okay, I don't remember exactly, but okay, well, that's not too bad. Okay, super empathetic. Okay, but then you feel the pain of the kids getting bullied, and you go to school and you're picking up on all the emotions of everybody else, and you're not knowing why, and you don't know what's going on because we have zero education of psychology in school. And then you start acting hyperactive, and then everybody goes, oh, you have a mental illness. An illness. Ill. You are ill. Not, oh, well, our schools are overcrowded, and this child needs extra attention, and let's find out. Okay, and let's help them guide, and they may need us. Okay. Instead, start drugging them. So, and zzz, starts the downward spiral, and that's what happened. So, yeah. So, I got multiple nieces and nephews that went down that spiral. They've had a horror story themselves. They're still in big trouble. One of them's going in and out of the hospital because for the last year she's taking antidepressants and she can't eat and she's vomiting and they don't know why. Okay, so it's a matter of life and death to family members of mine. My brother's girlfriend, she's sometimes suicidal. Been taking antidepressants for a year. Okay. She's taken the anti-seizure medication, I think. And it reduces GABA. Sometimes it makes her too tired, so then she turned to amphetamines like Ritalin. Then she got really aggressive, so I saw it right in front of my eyes multiple times. So 8 months ago, when she was married, okay, she was getting in fights and fights and fights, okay, and bit him maybe, and he called the police, and then she got arrested and spent the night in jail and had panic attacks, and it was terrible. Okay. Send the police and put everybody in jail. Okay, so then 2 months ago she decided, oh wow, I'm feeling tired all the time from these antidepressants, so she went down to Mexico and she got some diet drugs, which are amphetamines. So same thing. And then she got really aggressive. So she gets this look on her eyes like bulgy, and then negative, stirring up fights. My friend, who we both know that lives nearby, got him to physically grab her multiple times because, another long story of traumatized children. Okay, child. Okay, she drove him into violence with harassment and insults. Okay, for me, she was doing the same thing with me, and until finally, really nasty, aggressive, morning till night. Finally, I stole her amphetamines. Okay, then I had to endure a week of harassment. So, but now she's doing much better. So I'm the guy for the last 10 years. She's been taking the pills, and she goes in there, she gets the pills. There's no requirement of therapy. The pill pusher, he doesn't know any kind of therapy skills. He doesn't give any, and he doesn't know any therapists. He can't refer her when she's suicidal. So I've talked to her dozens of times when she's suicidal. I've spent hundreds of hours of therapy sharing all my knowledge. Fortunately, she's much better. Okay, but we're not out of the woods. She's really still in bad shape. Okay, miserable every day. I'm feeling down. I'm feeling terrible. Okay. They need the cure. The whole family's traumatized. Her mom's on antidepressants and her brother's on antidepressants. Okay, they're Hispanic. They all need to get the cure, Dr. Figley. Shad, you guys know the cure. Okay, so, anyway, I can talk forever. On this. Let's see let me just zip through it. Zip. I got 9 people on the list. Paris Hilton, I told her story. She was in hell for 2 years because the school system is not trauma informed. So she got kicked out after she got raped. She got kicked out of 3 schools because she couldn't concentrate and she couldn't do the work and she was running away from home. And then her parents forced her into a abusive psych facility where they torture kids and they strip them naked and they do gynecological exams and they throw them into a concrete a windowless cell naked for days as punishment, and they bitch slap you, and they knock you down onto the ground, and they force hug you for long periods of time in this bizarre therapeutic ritual that includes 30 minutes of